Hello, everybody. This is Frank with Iron Age News on the South Florida Conservative News Center. It is Sunday, May 24th, 6:40 p.m. I know it's late for us, but the internet is alive with the sound of bullshit. Basically, everybody telling you how great and smart we are from cutting a deal with the Iranians and what the Iranians will give us and such and all that. But as somebody who's had to follow this and Iran for quite some time, and also seeing some of the things that unfortunately the Trump administration has gotten themselves into in the past, I will give you a cautionary tale. And once again, this is a cautionary tale. This does not make me a hater. It makes me someone who is aware that the Iranians and most Middle Eastern countries view war entirely different than we do in the West. So let's get into this issue about what Trump may be getting wrong about this whole Iran thing. And this could become one of the most dangerous strategic misunderstandings of the next several years because if it goes, it's going to continue on. All right. And let's be clear where we are at the beginning. And I have to say this, not that I fear you half-ass whatever people. This is not an anti-Trump piece. This is talking about the issues, okay? So don't get in there. And that is the problem with a lot of the people that are pushing this in a positive, super positive way, is they're just so desperate to keep the clicks going from pro-Trump people or MAGA people that they are totally not looking at the situation. In fact, many of the people raising these concerns, as myself, are Trump supporters. The issue is not whether President Trump wants peace, okay? And I'm going to read most of this because there's no question as to what's going on. And if you don't understand it, we also have it available in print on Substack and on our page, www.southfloridaconservative.com, so that you have it in front of you when people are trying to tell you that you're some kind of pinko. Most Americans are exhausted with the endless war situation, okay? Trillion-dollar occupations and foreign policy disasters engineered by the same foreign office experts who always seem to get promoted no matter how wrong they were in the last war. But supporters of the administration are beginning to ask an uncomfortable question. Is the White House approaching Iran as a normal geopolitical rival when the Islamic Republic fundamentally does not behave like one? Because there are simply too many ifs built into this agreement. And you'll see what I'm saying. If Iran complies honestly, if inspections are meaningful, if enforcement remains politically possible, if the regime moderates, if proxy warfare slows down, meaning in Lebanon and Palestine and in the rest of the world that they operate, and if internal Iranian leadership remains stable enough to even honor the agreement in the first place. And that is a massive chain of ifs and assumptions. And critics are worried the administration may be underestimating how Iran actually conducts strategic warfare. You see, the danger is probably not that Iran immediately announces, surprise, we cheated. The greater danger is that Tehran operates in the gray zone. They do partial compliance. They'll delay inspections, legal ambiguity, he said, she said stuff, technical arguments, selective cooperation, any number of things that they will do to deceive. Deception is a major part of Arabic warfare and enough plausible deniability to make enforcement politically difficult. They'll do all that stuff, and our only answer, unfortunately, is we will drop bombs on you, right? We will drop bombs on you. So you're kind of, because we're not allowed to invade because of the Congress, and we don't want to invade because it would be stupid. At that point, the inspection process itself, if that was going to be an issue, will become a battlefield. And that's important because modern Iranian strategy has never depended on defeating the United States conventionally. It focuses on patience, it focuses on proxy networks. It's got the narrative going for it. You see how the media is, right? Political exhaustion is what it's going for, that we'll just get tired and we will go away. And under that framework, diplomacy is not necessarily the opposite of warfare. Diplomacy can become another form of warfare. And we've discussed this in other papers and other places that may be what some in Washington still fail to understand. President Trump's instincts are transactional. The Islamic Republic's instincts are revolutionary and ideological. That's all they are. Those are not the same negotiating cultures. They aren't. Now, there's another issue that's almost nobody's going to be talking about publicly. And who exactly is it that we are negotiating with in this long term? Because unless there's absolute proof regarding the operational status and political continuity of the current Ayatollah's leadership structure, serious questions remain about succession and internal cohesion inside Iran. They are telling you the supreme leader says this, that, and the other thing. Where is the video of him mouthing those words? He was on television. His father was on television all the time. He couldn't get that son of a bitch off the television. This one, you get nothing. They are telling you, oh, yeah, this is that, and it's another thing. That's not how the Iranian government operates. The Ayatollah is the shot caller. And if he is unable to call any shots, anything that you are doing is you're negotiating in bad faith. And that harms the United States and it harms the Iranians, meaning the people. Who cares about their government, right? So if there are already uh, internal power struggles, which we know there are, IRGC factionalism or leadership uncertainty behind the scenes, then the United States may not even be negotiating with a governing structure capable of enforcing long-term commitments against across the entire regime. We could make this agreement, we could show up with our inspectors, and somebody could kill or capture them, and we're back in the 70s again, right? Or 80, early 80s. And that matters enormously because an agreement is only as credible as the system enforcing it. And now, to be fair, this is where nuance matters. There are some controlled economic stabilization probably is necessary. And I think I mentioned this in a video a month or two ago. Under the protected corridor strategy, which is one of the ways that should be operated here, some amount of Iranian oil eventually has to go onto the market. Why? Because the oil reservoirs are not simply an on and off switch. If wells are shut down indefinitely, you risk permanent field damage, infrastructure collapse, environmental hazards, and broader instability. And frankly, Iran's oil wealth belongs to the Iranian people, not really just to this ruling group of jihadists. So if there is regime change, the people would inherit nothing if we destroy the entirety of the oil system. Whereas allowing some of these tankers that we know are full to come out, sell their oil, and go back, refill the capacity, actually benefits everybody. I know it's hard to see it, but it benefits everybody. The United States should not seek the permanent destruction of an ancient civilization because of the ideology of its governing elite. But this is exactly why safeguards matter. We could escrow that just like we did with Venezuela. The way we run the Venezuelan oil, you could run the Iranian oil. If they won't agree to that, that would be a telling thing right there. That is not on offer in this peace agreement, at least in the versions I have seen. And that's where critics are becoming nervous because a lot of this language appears pretty vague, politically dependent, or absolute absence of guarantee altogether. And that's dangerous, because once enforcement becomes politically difficult, like I said, our only enforcement is we drop more bombs on you. You're going to threaten people that don't care about their own people with bombing the people, right? That's where we are. Leverage begins disappearing almost immediately. And if this agreement eventually collapses, the damage won't just affect Iran. A lot of countries have quietly gone out on a limb for President Trump in the Arab world and other places, regional allies. maritime partners, intelligence sharing governments, states have aligned themselves with Washington because they believe the Americans finally understood the long term nature of the Iranian challenge. And if Tehran manipulates inspections or loopholes or weaponizes international opinion while Washington hesitates to enforce a deal, those allies may not be willing to take similar risks for the United States the next time. You could be seeing us as, instead of the hero, the pariah of the Middle East. That matters. Alliance credibility matters. And ultimately, this may be the biggest question of all. Are we solving the problem or simply pausing it? Because removing some uranium stockpiles while leaving intact the revolutionary infrastructure that produced the crisis in the first place is not a lasting solution. You can always build more centrifuges. You've got more networks you can reactivate, scientists, all that shit. The Israelis have not killed every smart guy in Iran. Trust me, they've tried, right? Underground facilities are still there. And if we believe whoever we believe, they could easily be dug back out and reallocated to the task. And ideological systems, especially the one in Iran, rarely abandon their founding doctrine simply because they signed a temporary agreement under pressure. In fact, under their principles of warfare, it's smart to make this deal because I am faking it out with the Westerners again, and I will come back stronger at a later date. And again, this does not automatically mean war is the answer. It does mean America must be able to distinguish between tactical de escalation and strategic resolution. And those are not the same thing. And that may be the central issue supporters of the administration are now wrestling with. Whether President Trump, who was correct to challenge so many failed assumptions from the foreign policy establishment, may now be inheriting one of Washington's oldest mistakes of all, and that is mistaking temporary restraint for permanent transformation. And that's what I see is happening there. We don't want to mess this up because it will come back at us from all parts of the globe. And there are so many people that are helping Iran right now. It is paramount to the administration to make sure it is getting accurate information from loyal people inside of Washington. Hard to believe that you have to say that these days, but that is the truth. So, questions, comments, whatever, you can reach us here on Rumble or BitChute or YouTube, wherever you see it. If you want some written documentation that follows this a little bit more closely, Substack and www.southfloridaconservative.com. Otherwise, have a nice night. Say a prayer tomorrow for all the guys who did not come back. And I will come up on something, probably we'll have something up on Tuesday. Goodbye.